Welcome back to the Global Resilience Exchange YouTube channel. My name is Daniela, and I will be the host of this session today. I want to do a recap of the August 2026 Continuity Coffee and Chat Atlantic session. And I think the most powerful theme that I want to talk about is how deep should your BIA really go? So we had real world resilience tactics and discussions throughout the session. I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. It's always the best way to get this information. I want you to comment if anything resonates with you. And if you like what you hear, please give this video a thumbs up. The sessions are always going to be on the first Thursday of the month, and there's the Continuity Coffee and Chat Pacific at 11 a.m. on the third Wednesday of the month. So let's talk about it. When you have the opportunity to do a business impact analysis, it's really important to gather the information so your leadership and your teams can make the appropriate decisions. So, how many layers deep should you actually go when mapping application dependencies and a business impact analysis? If you ask your business teams, they probably know the app they log into and where their direct feed goes. But if you ask your IT architects, they'll tell you there are 5, 6, or even 7 hidden layers beneath the surface: databases, microservices, third party APIs, and cloud infrastructure, just to name a few. Trying to force the business side to map all of the leads doesn't make sense. They don't have that information, and it can create a bloated BIA, burnout teams, and really contribute to bad data. So, in a recent continuity coffee and chat that we had a few weeks ago with business continuity, disaster recovery, crisis managers across retail, banking, cybersecurity, and tech, we really broke it down some practical rules for BIA mapping. Um, we talked about vendor SLA traps and surviving major cloud outages during the session. So, here are 4 key takeaways that you need to streamline your resilience program. So, the first debate: where do you draw the line when mapping software dependencies? The consensus among the group seemed to be around 1 to 2 layers, maximum 2. Now, I wouldn't say this is a hard and fast rule, but that seemed to be the general consensus on this particular meeting. So, frontline business units know what tools they use to get the job done and who feeds them the data. But expecting them to understand underlying UI dependencies or even backend server stacks is a recipe for bad data. So the recommendation is business teams map operational processes and the immediate 1 to 2 applications they touch. And the IT and DR team can take over from there using technical impact analysis, configuration management databases, or software bill of materials to map the deeper infrastructure stack. Really, I think what's important here, and this is Daniela's perspective, is this is a collaborative effort, right? If you have a very knowledgeable business unit that can give you information, by all means, take it. But I do think your ITDR teams need to support and verify. I also really don't recommend treating every application equally. Focus on your deepest dependency mapping strictly on the applications tied to your minimum viable business operations. So, if an app goes down and doesn't immediately threaten core operations or compliance, I wouldn't recommend using a lot of time mapping 6 layers down, right? But you do need good information to make that determination. Point 2: RTO versus the vendor SLA trap. So, here's a scenario. The business demands a 4-hour recovery time objective, RTO for short. But the third party SaaS vendor only offers a 24-hour SLA. What do you do? First, let true And verified business requirements drive the baseline. If a 4-year recovery is genuinely required for core operations, document that gap. From there, you have, let's say, 4 realistic options. You can negotiate, right? You could pay for the enhanced recovery tiers or dedicated hosting if the vendor supplies it. You could re engineer, find internal workarounds or secondary applications to bridge the downtime. You could also accept the risk. If the business refuses to fund faster recovery, executive leadership must formally accept the risk. And that goes through documentation and appropriate level sign offs. You could also scrutinize the contract. So please, we did hear a story to please watch out for SLA refund clauses. If an outage costs your company millions in revenue, a vendor refunding $2 worth of a monthly subscription downtime does nothing to cover your loss. So you really need to make sure that you have the right people scrutinizing the contract and making sure that it makes sense for you. Point 3, cloud concentration and fourth party risk. When moving to a major cloud provider like AWS or Azure, it is easy to assume you've bought bulletproof redundancy, but concentration risk is very real. When a major service or global cloud platform goes down, remember 2 things. You are in line with hundreds, maybe thousands, tens of thousands of other customers, right? You will get restored based on provider priority, not your internal panic. And fourth party risk is invisible, so to speak. So even if your primary vendor has great uptime, there are critical subtractors and cloud providers might not. How would you know? A lot of us are not asking that question. And even if we are, we're not getting that information in return. So always keep localized or soft copy backups of vital operational data as it makes sense for your organization. For example, schedule automated end of day reports. That could be inventory balances, customer registries, transaction logs, and that could be exported and stored securely off cloud. If your cloud vendor goes dark tomorrow, stale data from 24 hours ago will keep your doors open while you wait for restoration. So keep that in mind. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. Point 4, you can buy the most expensive business continuity software on the market. But if your people won't log in or update their plans or respond to check ins, it is useless. So, we talked about emphasizing that tool success hinges on really 2 core practices. You can define your user experience up front. All right. So don't just test pre-packaged features after launch, define user acceptance testing criteria before implementation to confirm the tool actually solves your specific workflow bottleneck. Also, manage internal variations. If you operate in a multi entity business, such as an organization spanning both banking and insurance, balance a fit for purpose usability with strict regulatory mandates across units, right? You get the most strict and you roll it out. And usually in those type of organizations, they know why it is the way that it is, even if it doesn't have to be that way. You get in where you fit in, right? So mapping dependency doesn't mean mapping everything into oblivion. Keep the business focused on direct dependencies. Let IT handle the technical depth and always verify what your vendor contracts actually deliver. If you found any of this to be useful, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And it would be great if you could leave a comment. I'm your host, Daniela, and every month I host the Continuity Coffee and Chat Live, and I'm pleased to be able to share these recaps with you on our YouTube channel regularly. So, if you found this breakdown helpful, like I said, hit the like button, subscribe for more real world risk and continuity insights, and I'll see you at the next video. Thank you for listening, and thank you for engaging.